Kia ora whānau. We are so happy to have you guys back with us for another evening of night service. We're just going to get straight into it, but first we're going to do some worship, so hope you enjoy. We're going to sing New Wine.
Hey guys, it's Jeremiah. I've got a message to share with you all today. And today's message is actually called Resting Well During Lockdown. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with a question and then you guys think about it while I just stare at you in the screen. All right, here we go. So, first question. How are you guys feeling right now? Just with all that's going on right now, the lockdown and everything, just how are you guys feeling right now? How are you feeling right now? The second question is has how has it been with you staying at home for the most of this lockdown time affecting your rest? Let's talk about rest since that's the topic for today. So typical rest nowadays for people, knowing that we're all just here at home, would probably be best example. First of all, Netflix. You know, we're always trying to watch Netflix. We're probably doing TikTok as well. And yeah, and one other way of resting is talking to people, video call, just like this. And I think that we all have our own ways of resting. And I think that we do have the time to rest. I think the fact that we're just at home for majority of the week gives us that opportunity to do some extra resting, which is really cool. Because I know for a fact that many of us are quite busy nowadays. Well, before the whole Corona thing happened. So it's always nice to have a bit of rest. Oh, I guess the time to be able to rest. And so, assessment time. I'm going to ask you another question, and this is going to go even more in depth with regards to resting. So, first question, am I, so this is you, I'm referring to you, am I actually feeling rested at the moment? So considering what you've been doing, you know, watching Netflix, all these things, just ask yourself and be real. Am I actually feeling rested at the moment? Another question that you could also answer is the way I am resting right now actually helping me? Is it actually helping me look after my mental health, emotional health, relational health, spiritual health? Is it actually helping me look after these areas in my life well, right? So I'm gonna share a little bit of my experience for the past couple of weeks with regards to rest, so that you guys are also aware of how it's been right here. Since the lockdown has started, I have been incredibly lucky to have the opportunity to be able to watch Netflix and Disney Plus a lot more than the usual, which is pretty cool. And I've had also a little bit more time to do things like eat, sleep, repeat. However, it did came to a point just at some point, I sort of like I was just thinking and I actually was real. I decided I'd be real with myself and I asked myself these questions. You know, am I actually feeling rested? And you know, and I didn't really feel rested. And it's funny. I'm doing all of these things, and you know, I should be feeling like I am all goods and I'm all rested up. But I feel like it's not the kind of rest that I was hoping to get. And so I had to ask myself then what is the kind of rest that I should be doing? I've reflected and I've given a lot of thought about why I wasn't feeling rested. And I realized that what I actually truly needed at that time was some peace and some quiet, some silence. It was too noisy around me, and you know, at home was noisy. I was playing this video, I was playing that music. It was just loud, and it was just too noisy. I just needed some peace and quiet, and most importantly, in, I needed to be silent in God's presence. I just needed to listen. I just needed to be with God. I just needed to spend time with God. And that was what I needed to do. That was the rest that I was looking for. And I missed it. And there I was realizing, damn, man, God, I need you. I need to be with you, God. Um, and yeah, I realized I haven't been actually spending a lot of time with Jesus. And come to think about it, I'm at home and I've got a lot of time on my plate right now. Well, maybe not a lot, but I've got extra time and I surely can spare some time for Jesus. But I've been busy doing so much more things and other things that I've missed out on the most important thing, most important person in my life. And I think that is something that I really wanted to obviously sort out. It wasn't right. And I needed to get the right way of resting sorted for me, the most fulfilling way of resting sorted for me. And so I had to dig in and I had to sort it out. I had to talk to Jesus about it. And I'm going to let you know what Jesus has told me and what I've learned from my conversations with him. So I know and I'm aware of this. Nowadays, we're all at home. Can't go anywhere. I mean, we can, but you know, we've got limitations and boundaries. But yeah, I've learned that just because we are mostly at home nowadays doesn't mean we are safe from life's busyness or from being exhausted. You think that you're at home, yeah, I could do whatever. No matter what happens, I'll feel relaxed because I'm at home. But the reality is actually, no, it's still possible for us to exhaust ourselves at home or you know, to feel exhausted actually, or to feel stressed and to feel as if we're, you know, we're still, you know, it's like we're not actually, yeah, it just feels like we're not resting at all. And I think that yeah, that's exactly what I felt. You know, I thought I was at home the whole time. All goods. I'm resting because I'm at home, but I actually needed to properly rest. I needed to be intentional about rest, how I rest in order to feel rested. We need to allow ourselves to be in a place of rest no matter where we are, especially within the premises of our main place of rest, which is our home. And as we all know, obviously, the man that sets up the standards for us, God, has rested as well. And Genesis 2:2-3, by the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing. So on the seventh day, he rested from all his work. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy because on it, he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. Rest is valuable and important, even to our Father, even to God. Resting is a great way to look after our well-being. That's why it's important. And if we are to rest today, it is important that we do it right, as we are called to do so. God is calling us to rest, but I don't think God is just calling us to just rest. He wants us to rest well. And that's what we want to talk about right now. And so, as you know, the topic for today, resting well during lockdown. We about to bring it some more for you. And so pay attention because we're now about to go into a story from the Bible. This story is the feeding of the 5,000. And I'm sure you are aware, or many of you guys are watching this. Hopefully you're aware of the story. But if you're not, I'll remind you guys what it is, what it's all about. So, in the event of the feeding of the 5,000, at Mark 6:30-31, Jesus, from the beginning of the story, he was like to his disciples, he was like, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and let's get some rest." And that's actually literally what he said. I've taken a quote of the scripture. That's literally what Jesus said. He said, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place." He was talking to the disciples. "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and let's get some rest." Now, why would he say this? And obviously, let's get into the backstory behind these lines or these words that he's mentioned. So Jesus at that very moment was actually hungry. He was hungry, he was tired, and there were tons of people that were coming and going. They keep asking him stuff, they keep talking to him, and obviously he's the man of the hour. Jesus, man, he healed people. He's the man. He's the man. And everyone knows that. Everyone's going crazy about him. And the man is tired. He is tired. And like, that's the thing. He is a man. He is just a human being. You know, he gets tired too, just like us. Jesus gets it. You know, he gets sick of, you know, being stressed and, you know, being around like too much stress and too much, you know, people, and like, you know, he wants a break, you know, and as we know, but if you're aware of the story, it doesn't end there. And if you're not aware of the story, this is where it all becomes a little bit more clear. So, feeding of the 5,000, this story goes like this. Jesus made thousands and thousands of people. We're talking possibly even 10,000. We don't know, just an approximation of people. Because it says here feeding of the 5,000, but we're only talking about the men when we are talking about the 5,000. And yeah, it's not even including the women and children. So imagine if each and every one of those men had a wife, possibly two wives. I don't know. Back in the day, everyone's just having so many wives and stuff, and kids as well. So that would have probably doubled up the size. You know, instead of 5,000, possibly 10,000. We don't know, man. Maybe even more. Crazy. Anyways, Jesus made all these people sit down. All of them. And imagine the stress of making that happen. Thousands of hungry people, man. You're dealing with really impatient people. I've worked in KFC and Burger King, and man, I have encountered really hangry people who actually just, they lost it, man. They're too hungry to be polite. They're too hungry to say thank you or to you know, to say nice words. It's crazy. And I think hunger does stuff to people. But that's exactly what Jesus had to deal with. He had to organize it as well, man. There's so many people, man, would have had to taken so much organizing skills to achieve that. And imagine as well, he has no mic, he has no megaphones, he can't project like as loud. So I don't know how much he can sort of like make people hear him. You know, everyone was just all over this huge field. And he's probably had to use up his voice so much, and knowing how hard it is sometimes to project your voice when when you don't have a mic to do that. Sometimes it's just, yeah, let's say you just lose your voice. You end up getting a cough the next day. It's pretty tough. And it doesn't end there, because that was just Jesus trying to make people sit down. Obviously, they were hungry and Jesus wanted to feed them. So he looks to his disciples and he asks his disciples, so what do we get them to eat? Do we have food here? The disciples were like, well, we don't have food. What are we going to do? And then this boy came in. He's got a piece of fish, loaf, bread. Like, he's got 2 fish, 5 loaves of bread. There you go. And he was like, here we go. And Jesus, you know, he broke it down, and just, and he thanked God, and then multiplied it, and it turned out into this huge amount of food, miraculously appearing as he's been tearing them all to pieces. And just a huge amount of food coming out of that. And he was able to feed all those people. And it's crazy. But as you know, he might have had to also clean up. They might have had to clean up a bit, because if people would have made some mess. And, it's not always nice to, leave things as a mess. I'm sure Jesus was like, we got to keep it righteous during these times. We got to keep it clean, so he cleaned it up. He asked his disciples, pick that up, pick this guy up, just do what you need to do. And that would have taken a lot of work. And so, considering all of these things that he's done, obviously, by the end of this, Jesus is tired. He's exhausted. He is super exhausted. I'm sure he's had enough, and all he wanted is to just get away from everyone, which is actually the case as I read this next scripture for you. So Mark chapter 6, 45 to 46. 45, immediately. See, the word immediately. So this is right after everyone got fed and everyone got the food and everything. Immediately, Jesus made his disciples get into the boat. So he's like, okay, guys, just go into the boat. Just go. Right? Yep. Just go in the boat. Okay, yeah, I'll talk to you later. Okay, go into the boat. Okay, John, don't lean on me, all right? I know I'm the bread of life, but the bread of life is too tired right now. So just go. And he told them to get into the boat, go on ahead of him to Bethsaida. So that's what he said. So go ahead, just go to Bethsaida. I'll catch up. And he dismissed the crowd. So I'll read that again. Immediately, Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to Bethsaida while he dismissed the crowd. And 46, after leaving them, he went up on the mountainside to pray. If you think about that, it's he's tired, and he was so tired, exhausted. Obviously, he needed a rest. And I think that Jesus was aware that he needed a rest, but what did rest look like for Jesus? What did it look like? What did it look like to be fulfilled? Actually really fulfilled when it comes to resting, in terms of Jesus in this situation. This story in the Bible has actually showed me two things regarding what resting with purpose looks like, which is what we're actually trying to get into right now, our topic for tonight. The first thing that the story taught me was that it showed me what Jesus was trying to rest from. It showed me that Jesus was aware of what he needed to rest from. It wouldn't be rest if Jesus decided that he was going to go and party with another group of people and start singing Kumbaya songs or whatever. Or he didn't do that. He after everything that's happened, he was tired. He went away. He went away. He went on his own. He went up to the mountainside. He prayed just alone with his Father. That's how he responded. And he was aware that that is the right response to the situation that he was in. So that's the first thing. It taught me that he was aware of what he needed to rest from. And I think it's important for us to be like that as well. We need to be aware of what we're trying to rest from, so we actually can gauge better idea on how to actually rest. What kind of rest are we actually needing right now? And second point, the story taught me, the story showed me the way that Jesus rested in response to the situation. And as I've mentioned before, he went up to the mountainside and he prayed. He didn't go out there and partied with people. He didn't go out and decided that he would, he would start making more disciples. Now he went up to the mountainside alone with his Father and he prayed. And I think that shows a little bit of something, obviously, from Jesus's character, Jesus's response, just his character when he is tired. He actually does things like this. He gets away from everyone because he's aware of what he needs in order to feel rested. And I think Jesus sets a good example for us to follow. If we look into our own lives, we can surely relate with these two statements. What are some of the things that you can identify in your life right now that is keeping your mind busy? As well as things that could be exhausting or draining you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever it is. What are some of these things? And what is this thing that God is calling you to rest from today? And as you know, in the story, Jesus was trying to rest from ministry. He's trying to rest from being around so many people. That's what he needed to rest from. And my question for you is, what do you feel like God is calling you, could be calling you right now, to rest from? And second question, and feel free to jot down your answer as well. How is God, or how do you feel like God is calling you to rest in response to this thing that he's calling you to rest from? So in terms of going back to the story again, Jesus obviously responded he responded to the whole, I'm really stressed, I'm doing way too much ministry today, too many people to hang out with, talk to. His response to that was to go up to the mountainside and pray, spend time with God, spend time with his Father on his own. That's his response. And so I'm asking you now, what do you feel like God is calling you to do in response? The kind of rest that God is calling you into right now in response to the situation that you're in. Maybe these are just examples, by the way. Maybe God could be calling you to rest from your phone, which means maybe you might just need to set up some boundaries. So you don't have to constantly be on your phone, because obviously sometimes it's stressful, sometimes it could just be quite draining. I don't know. I feel like that when I'm on my phone too much. And like you could do things like give yourself an hour or two a day where you're just not touching the phone, put the phone on silent, turn it off and do something else. It gives you a chance to be more productive, which is, I think is a good thing. Another example could be maybe God could be calling you to rest from watching TV all day. I'm guilty of that. I watch TV all day a lot of times. And I think many people would regard it as one of their main sort of like ways of resting too. And I think there's nothing wrong with watching TV. I mean, like if you're watching TV, it's cool. It's entertainment. Depending on what you're watching, but like majority of the time, what you watch is it's entertainment. Entertainment is good. But I think sometimes when you're just sitting in front of the TV the whole day, I don't know. I think if you want to be healthy, especially during these times that we can't actually leave the house, you gotta make sure that you're moving. You gotta make sure that you're not just sitting in front of the screen and just, you gotta move. You gotta exercise. So maybe what your response to that maybe would be to go out. Go out, go for a walk, jog, run. Walk your dog. Do things outside. Obviously within the rules of what we're expected to be. Like when we're outside the house, but do things like that. Look after yourself. It's so easy to let ourselves go during these times. And then, we don't want to be unhealthy. We want to keep moving, keep resting. Just keep looking after yourself. And also it would give us a chance to obviously take a break from the whole COVID-19 thing, from TV, and from the phone. We get constantly bombarded by these negative vibes about the virus, and sometimes that's the last thing we want to hear. Sometimes we let's put it aside and let's do something real nice. Let's do something fun. Let's do something relaxing. That's actually helpful, and let's do that. Let's do that. Or maybe you might be finding yourself in a similar situation as me, where you've been doing anything and everything. And you realize as you've been watching or as you've been listening to this video that actually I've been so busy doing all these things. Even specifically with resting, I've been busy trying to rest this way and rest that way. And I don't actually feel satisfied. I don't feel fulfilled. And, and I realize I haven't actually been spending as much time with Jesus. I haven't been spending time with Jesus at all. And I think if this is you, I think that we all are in a journey here, and sometimes this happens to us. And I know that God is gracious and God is loving. And if we come to Him with an open heart and say, God, here I am, and I'm sorry, but I'm really sorry about forgetting about this or forgetting about you. God's always there to forgive. Just come with an open heart, and He's always gonna welcome you back. And He's gonna love on you. He's loved on me, so look at me. So Luke 10:38-42. As Jesus and His disciples were on their way, He came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to Him. She had a sister called Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet, listening to what He said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to Him and asked, Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to stop me. Tell her to help me. Tell her to help me. Sorry, not stop. Help me. Martha, Martha, the Lord answered, you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. Sometimes the only thing, the only one thing that is actually needed right now, it's not Netflix. I mean, it's nothing wrong with Netflix. We can watch Netflix anytime, and I'm not condoning it as a wrong thing. Obviously, all these things, using your phone, there's nothing wrong with that. But the times where you do recognize that actually none of these things are really what I need to be doing right now. Maybe, just maybe, the only one thing that's actually needed at that time, the only one thing that's actually needed right now is Jesus. It's to be alone with our Jesus, the most important person in our life. Matthew 11:28-30. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Let's rest well during these times of just being at home. I think the lockdown hasn't been easy for many of us. You might be feeling sad, stressed, worried about the future. You might be tired right now, or you might not been able to sleep because of the whole corona thing, and there's so many things that's going on for many people. And to think that we're at home, you think that being at home is, oh, we're good, we can rest. Sometimes actually we can feel restless at home, and as I've said earlier, just because we're at home doesn't mean we're safe from life's busyness or life's problems and worries and stuff. We can never get away from that. And I'd like to just say that you're not alone. You're not alone. There are people in this community that cares about you, and that would love to pray for you and be with you during this time, at least even through a phone call or a message. During these times, it is important that we look after ourselves. I know that, yes, we're at home, but yeah, it is possible for us to get stressed. It's possible for us to feel exhausted. It's possible for us to feel not rested, just not rested, not fulfilled. And we need to look after ourselves. And that's the best thing we could do right now. Look after yourself. You're valuable. You're the reason why we rest is not only that we look after our well-being, but I believe that I believe that you're valuable. In the eyes of God, you are valuable, and God doesn't want to see you just come crushing down and and just broken, and God wants you to rest. God definitely desires for you to have a fulfilled rest in His presence. Please don't hesitate to reach out, and please allow yourself. I can't emphasize it enough, but I'd like to say it again. Please allow yourself to get some rest, and let's make sure that we do this with God. Let's make time to rest with Jesus this week, and that's my prayer for all of you. And thank you all for listening. And I hope that you guys have learned something from tonight's message. So there you go. Resting with purpose. Yours truly, Jeremiah Aurelio. I also wanted to give a massive shout out to all the essential workers out there that's probably not getting as much rest, and who are probably not at home a lot. You guys are doing an incredible job. We're really proud of you. We're really proud of everything that you are accomplishing out there for this community. And yeah, we just pray protection over you, and we are with you as well. You are also not alone. And my prayer is that you and everyone that is doing essential work, essential service right now, would also get the rest that you guys need, because you guys deserve to have rest. You deserve to also be able to enter into a place of rest with God. And my prayer is that you guys will be able to have the chance to be in that place as well. So Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you guys next time.